Hello, I'm Professor Stout, and today I'm going to talk to you about emotional cues. So what is an emotional cue? An emotional cue is something indicative of emotion. So this could be a tone of voice, it could be a body movement, it could be a facial expression. So anything that shows that you're feeling emotion. For many of us, I think this could also be a feeling in the pit of your stomach, if you've heard people talk about that. This could be anything from when you see something really cute online from a puppy or a kitten, or something really terrible, like we have lots of tornadoes in this area. So if you see someone's house who has been struck by a tornado, you get this really feeling in the pit of your stomach, or some people will talk about feeling things in their heart. So even those can be emotional cues. Now, what we're going to talk about today is specifically about seeing things online, whether that be headlines or other, that really will trigger these emotional cues in us. So for example, when you look at these two headlines about maybe great white sharks in the Mississippi River, or a logger who has accidentally cut down the oldest tree in the Amazon forest, what do you feel when you see these headlines? And generally, when you see something like this, you'll have some type of emotional response to it, whether it's shock, anger, fear. When you're thinking about swimming with great white sharks, that may invoke some fear, or maybe even sadness when you think about the oldest tree being cut down. When you think about it, headlines are written to grab your attention. Currently, we spend around 24 hours every week online. We're very busy, and we read a lot of material, so they have to write headlines in a way to really get your attention quickly, especially if something that has to do with evoking emotion. So these headlines, unfortunately, at times are written specifically to invoke a strong response in us emotionally. And that way it does grab our attention. It causes us maybe to react in certain ways. Maybe that is sharing online or something like that. So think about that when we're going through this is, how do you feel when you see these? So when you see a headline, first thing to do is check your emotional response to that. And in thinking this way, you're able to retrain your brain. So instead of instantly getting upset and sharing something, if you retrain your brain, you'll start to recognize when you have a strong emotional response to something, whether you see it online, in person, if you're reading something. So that can be a headline again. It can also be a quote. On Twitter, you see lots of famous people sharing information on Twitter. So it could be a specific quote that gives you this strong emotional response. It can also be statistics. I've seen lots of statistics around about deaths due to gun violence or the number of guns owned. So just having a statistic out there can also create a strong emotional response in people. But if you recognize that response, one of the things is recognize it and then resist snap judgments to things. So resist the urge to continually share something out there first. Also be aware of confirmation bias. So we all have biases. Confirmation bias is actually when you're drawn to information that really confirms your current beliefs on something. So be aware of your own confirmation bias. So if it's something that you're really strongly for, that also may cause you to want to share something. But the thing is that, you don't want to share fake news, even if it does confirm your own beliefs. So part of the thing that we're going to talk about today is recognizing your emotions, resist those snap judgments, and be aware of confirmation bias, review the website, and then dig deeper. So when we're talking about reviewing the website, for example, one of the first clues to a website is going through and looking at the domain name of that website. Does it end in .com, .org, .edu, or .gov? And just knowing the domain website will help you start to formulate your ideas on the credibility of that website. So first go through the domain. If it's a .com, you'll know that that is a commercial website. So that's what .com stands for, commercial. Most .coms are trying to sell a product. When you think of .coms, you might even think about Amazon. So Amazon.com, that's a commercial website. They're selling things. So be aware of that. You also will find a lot of advertisement on .com websites as well, because again, they're out there to help promote and try to sell things. So they're out there to make money generally. Now, .orgs are a little trickier. So a .org is an organizational website. So that can be anything from PETA.org, beef.org, martinlutherking.org, things like that. So organizational websites. They can also be association websites for a .org. Now, currently, anyone can purchase a .org website. And when you're thinking of, for example, beef.org, you have to think about why are they putting the website out there? And even beef.org has an agenda, right? So think about the agenda behind these websites. .edu. This could be MissouriState.edu. It could be Harvard.edu. So educational websites have a .edu domain web address. And generally these will be more credible. You can find information out there on those websites. These websites want to be credible. They don't want to advertise false information. So these are generally better trusted websites. Same for .gov. So .gov is government websites. So generally this is a good place to go and research current information, especially if it's anything political or government related at all. This can be, for example, USA.gov is a good place to go and search for government information and government websites. Some other examples would be USDA.gov or education.gov. So if you want to find out what's going on education in the United States, education.gov is a good place to go. So on top of just looking at the domain website, there's other ways to review websites. Just think about looking at the website in general. Are there lots of advertisements? Are there biased information on the website? And we'll talk further down this semester about ways to really review information. But just scan the website and see what information you can glean just from looking around. One of the places to go to is the About section on a website. Generally, everyone will have an About section. Go through the About section and see if they can show you if they have a political leaning, for example, or if it's a satire website. For example, The Onion, it's a satire website. So it's poking fun at other information out there. So The Onion, you see lots of Onion articles shared on Facebook. They're supposed to be fun and lighthearted and really generally poking fun at usually serious topics though. So make sure it's not a satire website. And going through that About section will usually help you with that. Also, is the website, or maybe if it's a news website, generally considered credible? And next week you'll hear more about news and news affiliations and whether they're more credible or where they lean in the political spectrum. So you'll talk about that more next week. But is it generally considered a credible website? Whereas, for example, The Onion would not be considered credible. All right, so once you have gone through and looked over a website, if you still are uncertain about the information being posted on that website, this is where you start to dig deeper. So how do you dig deeper? Generally, digging deeper will mean going to fact-checking websites. So a few of these are Snopes, FactCheck, and PolitiFact. These will go through different information. You can type it in just like searching Google. So you can go to Snopes and type in some keywords and do a search for various articles and information to find out if they're true or not. Snopes will generally show true or false very clearly, so it's easy to find out. They will also go through and track where this story started. FactCheck is a really good one to go in and again check facts. And PolitiFact is also a good one, especially for political news. So PolitiFact is really fun to watch during debates because people will go through there and put on there whether something that has been stated is true or not. And I put the pants on fire thing here because it's a GIF or GIF, however you want to say it, but it's the PolitiFact Truthometer. And so they go through and show you whether something's true or false, or maybe if it's a half truth, or if it's completely false. And that's when they do the pants on fire meme here. So the other thing when you dig deeper, check multiple sources. And I know you saw a video earlier this semester on how important it is to check multiple sources. Don't go by just the first thing you find. And that can be with these fact-checking websites as well, especially if it goes against your own bias on something. If you're like, really, that can't be true, check other places just to ensure that you've done your due diligence finding out the truth. Okay, so let's try it. How do you fact check specific stories? So let's take the great white sharks in the Mississippi River. I'm going to go to Snopes, so snopes.com. It is a .com because they do have advertising. So that's the one thing with Snopes, is they have lots of advertising because that's what sponsors their research. So let's go to Snopes. Let's do great white sharks, Mississippi. And remember, this is kind of like doing a search in a database. Just pull a few of the keywords, or if you want to copy and paste the title of something in there, you can. So here, great white shark spotted in the Mississippi River, question mark, from March of 2017. When you click on it, this will take you to this page. It shows you the claim, and then it will tell you whether it's true or false. This one is false. You can go down below and see the origin of this story again, and it will tell you generally where the photograph was taken. So it says the claim was that it was taken at the Mississippi River near St. Louis. So it says, while it's incredibly uncommon for saltwater creatures to go to fresh water. So it kind of goes through all of this detail here. Gosh, lots of detail. But then it tells you the difference between what is a bull shark, what is a white shark, because they'll actually say that even though this was, well, they thought it was taken at the Mississippi River, the photo was taken of bull sharks near the Rio Serena River mouth. So not the Mississippi River. So that's great. What about this one? Loggers accidentally cut down the world's oldest tree in the Amazon. Let's go back up. Let's do oldest tree cut Amazon. Do a search for this. So did illegal loggers cut down the oldest tree in the forest? The claim is false. And it's a little slow on my screen because of all of the ads. So they are trying to really fund this work that they do. So it is false. Now this is something you could Google as well, but it's nice to know specific websites that are devoted to finding true or false statements within these headlines. So it's better to go to Snopes or some of these other places to check it. Okay, so now you've seen how easy it is to do, and it's generally very easy. Now, to review on this, recognize when you have a strong emotional response to a headline, statistics, a quote that maybe someone famous or maybe not famous has stated online. So when you have that emotional reaction, really think about that emotional response and think about why it was triggered, and pause before sharing this. Once you pause, read past the headline. So what's the rest of the story? Look for additional clues on those websites, Be very aware of your own confirmation bias when you're looking at this, and check multiple sources. So go to Snopes, go to these fact-checking websites, and check multiple sources just to confirm whether something is true or false before sharing it. Now, that has been the end of this emotional cues. You do have a quiz that you'll have this week based on this presentation. So if you need to, you can go back and re-review this. But I think you'll be good, and good luck on your quiz. And I will see you at the next video.